Today we'll look at the history of the most expensive NFT ever sold, Beeple's Every Days, the First 5,000 Days. This NFT was auctioned off at Christies for $69 million worth of ETH in March of 2021. The digital artist, Matt Winkelmann, has essentially been creating a work of art every day for many, many years. Every Days, the First 5,000 Days is a collection of the first 5,000 of those pieces. Since a token is an NFT, all of its transactions are recorded permanently on the blockchain. In this video, we'll see how we can use Etherscan to trace the history of this NFT, from its minting on February 16, 2021, all the way to its final sale and transfer to an investor named Metacoven almost 1 month later. Here we can see the auction page for the first 5,000 days. The auction closed on March 11, 2021 for $69 million. We see the token ID is 40913. In addition, we have a wallet address as well as a smart contract address. It's a non-fungible token for a JPEG, and we see that the work is unique. Let's break down these players starting with the wallet address. If we look up that wallet address in Etherscan, we see that it belongs to Beeple, the digital artist. His description is that he's been creating a picture and posting it online for over 13 years without missing a single day. Heading over to Beeple's Twitter, we also see that he has a tweet confirming that that is indeed his wallet address. Now what about the smart contract address? Etherscan shows that this smart contract address is for Maker's Token v2. Following the links, we can see that Maker's Token v2 is a smart contract which represents makersplace.com, which is an online marketplace for NFTs, similar to OpenSea or Rarible. So this information tells us that Beeple created this NFT using the Maker's Token v2 marketplace, and that the token ID for this NFT is 40913. This transaction is not on the Christie's auction page, but this is the transaction for when Beeple minted the NFT on February 16, 2021. We see that this transaction is interacting with the Maker's Place MKT2 token, and it's a mint because we're transferring a token from the null address to Beeple, and this is indeed for token 40913. We can look at the logs tab to see some events that were associated with this minting. For example, we have an event called Digital Media Create Event. The creator is Beeple, that's his wallet address, and we have a metadata path. This metadata path points to metadata about the artwork. We can look up this content identifier in IPFS to see the metadata about the artwork. Here we see the title is Every Days, the First 5,000 Days, and we have a description. I made a picture from start to finish every day from 2007 to 2021. And this is every one of those pictures. In addition, we also have another link here, which is the content identifier for the artwork itself. By going to that content identifier, we can see that it does indeed represent the first 5,000 works of art. We can look at the smart contract itself to see what these events are. So I can go to the contract and then look at the code. If we search for that digital media create event, we can see this event is fired when a new digital media is created. So this digital media create event has the address of the creator of the token, the total supply, and also the string representing the metadata. We can see this event is emitted when creating digital media. Going back to our timeline, we see the mint happens on February 16th. The Christie's auction took place on March 11th, and then after the sale was finalized, then Beeple transferred the NFT to this Maker's Place escrow account on March 13th. We can see that transaction transferring to the escrow account here. So this transaction is interacting with the Maker's Place contract again, and this time the token is being transferred from Beeple to the escrow account. The account that is receiving the token is the Maker's Place contract. A couple hours after that transfer to the escrow account, we can also see the transfer of the token to Metacoven. This time the token is being transferred from that escrow account to Metacoven. And again, this is for token 40913. The process was basically as follows. Beeple created that artwork and then stored that artwork on IPFS. Storing the artwork on IPFS generated this content identifier. That content identifier is then used for the metadata for the NFT. And that metadata can then be referenced by different ERC-721 contracts to create NFTs. I want to bring your attention to the final step in this diagram, which shows that multiple contracts can reference the same NFT metadata. This means that the artwork does not have to be unique, as the same artwork can be referenced by many different NFTs. Therefore, this means that when you're buying an NFT, you're not really buying the art associated with that NFT. Instead, when you're buying an NFT, You're instead really buying this certain token number at this certain smart contract address. In the case of the Christie's auction, the contract is the maker's token v2 contract. The token is 4019, which represents Beeple's everydays, the first 5,000 days. However, it's quite possible that Beeple or someone else could mint another token in the future, for example, token 4089, which also points to the same exact artwork. If token 4019 is worth almost $70 million, how much would this second one be? Nobody knows. In the auction page, we did see the description saying that the artwork is guaranteed to be unique. But technically, there's absolutely nothing stopping people or the Maker's Token v2 founders from simply minting another token on their same contract, pointing to the same exact NFT metadata. At the time the token 4019 was sold, there could well have been another token out there, already existing, that also points to that same exact artwork, but nobody knows about it. In fact, to prove a point about how dubious NFTs are, last year someone tried to fake Beeple's NFT by creating their own token, also with the same token ID 40913, pointing to the same NFT metadata. To do this, that person created another smart contract with the same token ID 40913. In addition, he used a clever trick to make it seem like the NFT was actually minted by Beeple. Using something called a seizure feature, he dropped the fake NFT into the verified account of Beeple and then transferred it back out again. So it appeared for a brief moment that the NFT was held by Beeple and then sold by Beeple. This is the smart contract for that copy of Beeple's NFT, and we can see the token ID is indeed 40913. Looking at the history of the transfers, it does indeed look like that it was minted to Beeple before being burned. In closing, I just want to remind viewers of what you're buying when you buy an NFT. The defining characteristics of an NFT is not the metadata artwork that the NFT is referencing, but rather the token ID and the smart contract address that NFT is minted on. If the smart contract has no legitimacy, then the token itself also is not legitimate. It's not about the artwork. It's what people think about that smart contract that NFT is minted on. Anyone can copy the artwork and make their own NFT, but nobody can copy that same token ID on that same smart contract address. If you learned something today or found this video helpful, please give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.